Welcome back, guys. I am here today with Polly. She is my cousin and she is here to talk on No Notions Travel about plus size traveling. Some of you may think, why are we making a whole video about this or a whole article? But it is actually a bigger thing than you think. Polly, pardon the pun. Polly, it's really, really great to have you on.
Thank you, Roma.
So you started traveling kind of straight out of school, and I think a lot of people don't realize that there are certain, not limitations, but things that need to be considered when you are plus size and you do want to travel. So there's a couple of areas that we want to talk about today that you can make your trips more comfortable, because it is an area that is close to my heart. I am also a plus size girl, so I know from myself that there are some things that I'm like, oh, I'm terrified to actually do, but we want to try and encourage you that you shouldn't let it stop you from traveling, and that there are certain things you can do that can make things, a lot easier while you're on your trip, that you don't have to worry about. So I think the first area that I might talk about, particularly because you have been to Asia and you've done a whole lot of flying and you've been in boats and trains and the whole lot, transport. What would you advise for any of our guys and gals and friends watching about things that you should consider when you're actually traveling?
So my first off, I should have brought it with me. The first off would be a seatbelt extender. You can buy them on Amazon. That's my go-to. I don't travel. I don't get in a plane without it. You might know that you need one, or you might be iffy about it. But even if you're iffy, if it takes the panic away from wondering if the seatbelt's going to close, that's my go-to. Weirdly enough, I didn't need them a lot when I was actually traveling in between, say, like Vietnam and Thailand or Cambodia. They have a lot of older planes, so some of the seats are huge, actually. They're like old style planes. But seatbelt extender would be number one. There's also websites, seatguru.com, I think it is. They have a really handy thing where you can go through the exact planes that fly the routes, and you can check see what sizes they are. So, and like people will have left comments being like, oh, I'm size 26 and I fit perfectly, or no, these seats are so uncomfortable, buy business class or something like that. What else? So that's planes. When we were traveling, we tried one sleeper train or sleeper bus.
Yeah, this is what I'm curious about.
Yeah, so we did one sleeper bus, we did one sleeper train. Sleeper trains are fine. Also, I was traveling with 3 other people, so go with the sleeper train. In the sleeper train's cabins, there's 4 beds, and I knew that I was traveling. We were 3 people, and I knew that 2 of them I could manipulate where they were going, so I could be like, you guys have to go up because I'm going to be on the bottom.
Yeah.
But you can book it. It can be a bit tricky to figure out, but you can say I need a bottom one. And I think a lot of people actually prefer to be higher up because you're not so close to the door.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were fine. The bunks were fine. The sleeper buses were a different thing completely. I know a lot of people like to travel around with them. They're super cheap. They take hours. So if you have the time, but they're great. But if you still have the time, but if you have the budget and you are like, no, it's worth it for me to spend €30 instead of a fiver to get a plane, you can do that. So we got our sleeper bus. It was fine. You stick your legs into this little compartment that's the seat in front of you, and you lie down, but they can have like armrests and like the bed rests, and I just felt like they were digging into me. I was so uncomfortable for the trip. I managed. It was fine. Got through it. But just the uncomfortableness, it was like a 6-10 hour bus journey. And I was just like, we could have just paid I don't think there was a flight. I think that's why we did that. And for everywhere else, I was like, it's €30. I have that in my budget. I'm paying it.
Yeah.
And I've talked to other friends who were like, yeah, we did the flights as well. Not because of their size. They were just like, You decide what's worth it. But if you're on a serious budget,
yeah,
you'll manage. They will be a bit uncomfortable, but you'll manage.
Yeah. Okay. And one thing I've always been curious about, and even after gigs in Dublin, you see everybody going around in like tuk-tuks, but did you try a tuk-tuk? Was it something that you were kind of like, oh, this isn't actually too bad, or was it something you had to consider?
Yeah, the tuk-tuks in Southeast Asia were fine. I'm trying to think. We didn't get a lot of them. So Cambodia, we tried to kind of avoid them because I think if I can remember correctly, a lot of them are kind of like tourist trap ones, like I guess kind of like the bloody horse and cart in Galway. If you were like, you can get the horse and cart, you can get a taxi, the taxi's going to cost less. So yeah, a couple of times it was like, this is just a tourist trap. But in Cambodia, in Siem Reap, and Sinoville, it's all tuk-tuks, and there was no getting out of, and they were much cheaper. And like Lonely Planet and other blogs had advised us to get tuk-tuks, and they were fine. They really were fine. It was just me and my sister at that point traveling. But getting in them, I mean, sometimes when you step up, they'll kind of move, and you can, that second where you're like, oh my god, is this, because they look rattly and they look like they're going to fall apart. But no, they were fine. Might be a bit hard to like come in and out of them, but I mean, I was fine. And I've heard other people are fine. And you can also, it always sounds scarier before you're actually doing it, but if you were there and if you were traveling, I know you and Jack are planning to travel together, but say if you were like 5 people and they were like, we'll take 5 people, you can always be like, no, 2 of us are going to go on our own tuk-tuk. So like if me and Lily had been with more people, I think I would have been comfortable saying, I think in another trip that I did with another friend, there was 3 of us, and I would often say, Pork and I will go in one, you can go in the other, because it was just more comfortable. So tuk-tuks, they're not too scary.
They're not the worst thing in the world. So when it came to packing, I know we are talking about travel in general, but particularly countries that may not have the clothing sizes available. Obviously, most places in Europe or America definitely, but say like anywhere in Asia or even Africa and places like that, what do you pack? Do you overpack in case you
pack
run
everything
out?
So, and I think this is something that only plus size people will understand. Like in comparison, my sister's clothes came to like a bag like that. She bought a pair of shorts, she bought 2 tank tops, a bikini, and maybe some leggings and a fleece, and that was it. She'll probably correct me, but and I was like, no, but she was coming with the knowledge that if she lost her shorts or her tank top, that she could probably buy some there. And I was going with I cannot, like, this has to do me for 3 months. There's nothing else. So it's a bit head wrecking while you're packing and trying to figure that out and trying to pick pieces that will last. And you do have to be, you can't just pack a dress because you're like, oh, I'd like to bring it, because when you're backpacking and you only have a certain amount of space, you have to be like, I absolutely will wear this. It's absolutely really comfortable. I tried to buy a lot of my clothes. I tried to bring a lot of clothes that I already knew had stood the test of time and were comfy. And then I tried to buy a lot of stuff beforehand so that I could wear them and be like, okay, like I bought a pair of harem pants and I was like, harem pants, and I was like, this is perfect. But when I wore them, they didn't fit properly and my like thighs were chafing, and I was like, no, forget it. Always pack bicycle shorts, or like I think that's what they're called. Like you can get them leggings now. They don't need to be like compression ones. They were my go-to. That and a tank top. I bought some denim shorts, but only wore them a couple of times. But I lived in bicycle shorts, tank tops, t-shirts. But I bought a lot of them with me. Now, when my mom was leaving in Vietnam, so after our first 3 weeks, I sent home a lot of stuff with her. I was like, I'm actually managing, and these clothes aren't okay. So I did have that initial panic of like, what if this gets lost? What if this just randomly explodes and I don't have any shorts? But yeah, do not count on getting anything there. I know there are some blogs and some people who will say, you can, there's a little shop here, and just don't. It's not worth it. It's not, do not count on it.
Yeah.
You can figure out for your certain size, but I would be on the bigger side of plus size. And I was like, no, they're not going to have it.
Yeah.
Now, funny story was that we were actually in Myanmar in the middle of nowhere, and there was a woman selling pants, and she, like, everyone will come up to you trying to get you to buy stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And she was like, we have big size. I was like, yeah, big size. And then she held them out, and I was like, oh my God, they are my size. So my sister has never let me forget, because I was like, you won't find clothes. And she was like, well, we did find it in a temple in Myanmar.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like if you were saying I'm going to Connemara and there's going to be somebody who sells my clothes.
Yeah. Okay. I know even for myself, like, the one thing in my head is like, I have one bra, and if it breaks while I'm there, it's free the nip the entire rest of the trip, because I'm not going to find a bra that's the right size. That's my biggest like fear, is that the like underwire will pop or something will happen and I'm screwed for the rest of the trip. So like that kind of aspect is like, you know, it's something that most people wouldn't think about, because it's like, oh well, if it rips, I can, you know, I can just go. It's like, well, if I hurt myself, there's a pharmacy. It's like, you know, the option actually isn't there for most people. When it came to activities, like, would you be kind of put off by some activities? I know for myself, when we went to the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, and they were like, yeah, it's the steps down, and I was like, okay. And then I basically collapsed when I got back down, because it was so tight and it was so awkward. Like, have you ever been put off doing something activities wise, or found out, you know, halfway through you're like, oh, this isn't gonna work?
Yeah, I mean, I've been put off 100% to the point of sheer absolute panic attacks.
Okay.
But I've come through the other side, and I'm a huge advocate for, I mean, I'm saying this now, which I find is a little hypocritical, because people said it to me at the time and I was like, shut up, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
The thing that stands out most for me was we were in Halong Bay in Vietnam, and you could do kayaking. I love kayaking. I have a kayak at home, but I know that kayak fits me. And there's different types of kayaks. So the sea kayaks are open and there's closed kayaks.
Yeah.
And I knew that I knew I didn't want to get into the closed kayaks, even if I could fish.
Yeah.
And for, I'd say, a whole evening, I was like, oh my God, I can't get into this kayak. I can't do it. But my sister actually went up and said, my sister wants a kayak. We know that they had open ones that I was used to using at home. Yeah. She was like, can she have that? And he was like, yeah, fine.
Okay.
But I had worked it up into such a big thing. So I really would like push for, if there's something that you want to do, just ask. And I know I know I'm saying that from someone who's like, oh, it's so embarrassing sometimes, it's so nervous, and you feel like even saying it is like putting it out there, being like, I won't fish. Like life jackets and things like that. Like, we were in Cambodia, I think it was, and they were like, you have to wear life jackets on the boat. And I was having a full-on argument, being like, I can swim, and like, if I fall off, I'm not going to drown. And they're like, you have to put it on. And they had one, like, and I, you know, you can extend them out big enough. But yeah, there was a couple of times, there's a couple of boat rides and things that maybe they had steps that I was like, oh my God, these do not look like they're going to support me.
Okay. Like, I even know for myself, like, there's the thing I had to remind myself the most, particularly when I am traveling and I come to like a whole pile of steps, say like in Paris, we were most recently there, and I turned to Jack and Jack just looked at me and he was like, no. But at the end of the day, your body, you can only do as much as your body will allow you, and I don't think you should feel guilty for that. If you were going up them steps super slow, like, that's as much as your body can do, but don't feel pressure to have to be able to fly up it, or by when you get to the top and you're out of breath, like, it's okay, you still got to the top. I had to keep reminding myself of that, going, instead of constantly reminding myself like, you're not able to do this, it's like, you're doing it. You still want to get to the top and see what's up there, and it is going to be worth, you know, getting up there. I found that, like, it's a really hard thing to learn when somebody keeps telling you and you're like, no, stop telling me this. I don't believe it. But when you actually realize it yourself, it's one of the best gifts you can really give yourself, I find, because I found I'm so much more likely to do stuff now. When it comes down, like, oh yeah, no, it'll take me 20 minutes, but I will get up those steps.
Yeah. And even trying to remind yourself, like, when's the last time that you remembered the person that you walked by?
Yeah.
I don't know, going to the Eiffel Tower or something, that maybe they were struggling with something. Do you ever remember and be like, oh my God, yeah, do you remember that girl who was, because we did, my sister loves hiking.
Yeah.
And so we had to do a fair few hikes and climbs that I was not prepared for, and was quite nervous of. We did a 3-day trek in Myanmar, and that was nerve-wracking because I was like, I'm not going to be able to keep up. But it was just two of us. We could choose our own pace, and it was okay. And like that, we climbed like up temples and up this hike in Laos to see this viewpoint. Yeah. My sister was great. She was really great. She was like, just one more step. That's all you can take. Like, if that's all you need to take a step, and we'll have some water and we'll rest. And that was great. Yeah. And just realizing that, like, you can do it on your own time, like you said, and you get to see it. And I think it's helpful to remember, like, nobody gives a, I don't know if I can curse, but nobody gives a F
you can curse in it, don't worry. Yeah, literally nobody gives a fuck about you. Like, that's the thing, is that when you're traveling, you're not thinking about the other people around you. You are there to see the thing, and like, nobody's looking at you. Really, nobody cares.
There's so many travelers there. Like, I used to be conscious of, like, I had a white tank top, but they were mostly black. But and my forehead would be glistening and like so red, and I was like, oh my God, like, this is so embarrassing. But then you're like, everyone else is like sweaty and hot and nobody cares. And I feel like towards the end of the trip you kind of get into this is how it is. But definitely nervous about activities. And there's some things that you're like, no, I absolutely know. Like, please don't feel like you need to push yourself to be like, there was like a whitewater rafting thing. And I was like, no, I know what this is going to be like, trying to pull me back into a boat. And it's not something that I wanted to do. So I think there's time to like step back and be like, no, that's not for me. Yeah. And there's loads of things that you can Google as well. There was like a toboggan ride. I can't remember which country. But I was like, oh, that might be fun. But I Googled it and I was like, is there a weight limit? And there's like, TripAdvisor and things are like, yes, you have to be like 14 stone or something. So I was like, okay, well, that's out for me. Which is fine. But I think it's knowing. I think that knowledge is power.
Yeah. And there's no shame in it either. Like, a lot of the weight limits are like, when you actually look at it, it's like, that's a small child. Like, don't feel guilty about yourself because you can't do it. It's just something that is just not working, like.
I mean, I just think of it like when you go to a theme park and people are like, you have to be this not that high. It's like, you don't have to feel good.
I'm too short for most of those rides, and again, and it is just like that. Like, don't feel guilty about being 5'3" and that you can't like go on the ride. It's exactly like that, and if you keep treating it like that, it will get that little bit easier where you're like, oh, okay, I can't do that. So when it comes to accommodation, is there things that you do have to consider? I know for hotels, it's a hotel room and it's your own space, but say for hostels, bunk beds, is there things that you'd advise when you're booking them or if you're looking into them?
Yeah, so when I was booking, a lot of the like hostels that people recommend anyway, they're really good. There's some dingy ones that like it was difficult to like communicate with them to be like, I do not want to be on the top bunk, or we want our own room, or but yeah, hotels, absolutely fine. More the hostels, and I refused. I was like, I'm not getting up on the top bunk. That is it. And because I was traveling with somebody else, it was so easy to be like, we'd book, they would give us a section, and I'd be like, up you go, Lil. Like, I'm not getting off. However, then towards the end of our trip, and sort of in the middle, if ever we were in like a dorm together, or a frame looked pretty sturdy, I would try it myself to be like, okay, can I? And most of the time it was just myself freaking myself out, that I was like, okay, I am well able to get these steps up. They're strong enough to hold someone.
Yeah.
It's not gonna. Now there was some that you were like, okay, these beds are old as hell, and some of them are more difficult. You really have to be able to, like, not pull yourself up, but just swing your leg over and stuff. But they were fine.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, you can absolutely request and be like, I want to be on the bottom. And a lot of people, like I said with the sleeper trains, sometimes a lot of people actually like being higher up. I think it's more a safety thing that they're not by the door.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah. But yeah, no, accommodation, I'm trying to think. I think it's only really the bunk beds that had kind of panicked me. But yeah, no, that's fine. And especially when you're traveling, if you're traveling on your own, you can book and you can try and communicate that or send an email. And then if you're not, there's usually somebody, you can send somebody up and be like, I want to take the bottom bunk.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to different climates across the world, whether you are in the middle of Iceland or you're in the middle of Africa, have you any advice for kind of dressing for the different climates?
Yeah. So like cold weather will be layering. And layering for hot weather as well, because where it's really hot during the day, it can be really cold during the night.
Yeah.
So if you're packing for Southeast Asia, I wouldn't just be packing your shorts and your tank tops. You will need things that that you can layer. I had a pair of leggings, especially when you're in airports. The air conditioning, the planes can be really cold. So I had a big scarf with me, which was handy for like taking to the beach and sitting on, or wrapping around when I was in the planes.
Okay.
To keep warm. And also I had bought a fleece, a regatta, I think it was, like men's fleece, but that was really warm but thin. So if you can find something like that that's well insulated, but it's not bulky, you're not going with like a huge big jacket, that was really handy. That fleece, I don't think I bought a hat when I was over there, but yeah, a big scarf. So it could be like a light scarf, but kind of just a big one. Something that you could possibly lie on the beach would be, say, the size that you could also wrap around you and keep warm.
Yeah.
I bought a rain jacket as well with me, a really thin rain jacket.
Okay.
We didn't go in monsoon season. We were just hitting the end of it for one of the countries, but it did rain a couple of times and they were pretty handy. I think I maybe only used it 2 or 3 times though.
Okay. So that's not too bad for 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
You get more use of it here.
But that keeps you warm as well, just for layering sake.
Yeah.
While I didn't use it for the rain, I was like, okay, I'll pop it over my fleece just for insulation.
Okay. If you had any advice for somebody watching that feels like, they can't do something or they can't go somewhere. I know you had that experience before with a trip to Paris. Like, have you any advice for somebody who is thinking along the same lines?
Yeah. Oh my God, my trip to Paris. Google everything. Research it. Look up like plus size people who are traveling on Instagram. There was a Facebook group called Fat Girls Traveling that I found slightly good. You have to sift through a lot of stuff with people sharing their outfits.
Yeah, it's a lot of filtering.
Yeah, but when you get to the points where maybe somebody has been like, I went to Disneyland and I don't know if I can go on any of the rides, and somebody will be like, hey, I'm these sizes, I wear these type of clothes or this size clothes, I could fit on all the rides, or there was one ride to avoid. So when you get to that information, that is just so, like, I think when I shared it on my Instagram, people were like, if you're not plus size, you don't understand the lived experience of going through the world in a bigger body. So yeah, when just that knowledge from other people. So if you know anybody who's plus size, who's gone, I get quite a few messages still from Instagram for people who are like, hey Polly, I'm in Thailand, did you do this kayak trip, can I get on the kayaks or something like that? And I am more than happy to be like, yes, okay, let me know what you're doing and I'll tell you exactly what I did or where I fish, and I was sending people my weight, my height, my like, clothes that I wore, and being like, this is my exact size and I could fish in here. And that's when I think that really helped me, definitely being able to compare. There was a plus size blogger that I followed and she had done some of the traveling, and even just for a confidence boost or just even to remind yourself when you are traveling, I looked back at hers and was like, she did this, she's this size, I can do this. But I think, I mean, Southeast Asia, people are naturally smaller. So being in a bigger body, people are more, they notice you more. Like when we were traveling around America, it was absolutely fine, and
So
Europe
normal.
was fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like even clothes, like shopping over there was like, this is somewhere I can shop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say just if you are feeling panicky or nervous, or if you're somebody who's just thinking that you can't do it, you absolutely can do it. And just arm yourself with all the knowledge, so that any moments that you're feeling a bit shaky, that you can be like, okay, I can look this up, or I can know this. And try and get, even if it's just asking one person, you know, my mom used to say to me, people can see the size you are. And I think that's what stopped me asking sometimes, that I was like, I don't want to say that I might not fit. Like, they can see you, they might know. So you can go up to them and say, look, what can we do? How can we sort this out? So yeah, that would be my advice. But definitely go. Do not let your size put you off.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. It stopped me. I spoke about it in the Barcelona video and the Lisbon one, that like I was supposed to go kayaking, and then at the last minute I chickened out because I was just too afraid to like be in a swimsuit. Nope. And the same with the beach in Lisbon. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And looking back at it now, I'm like, oh, like you could have got a proper tan. Like, and everyone around you was stark naked basically, and nobody cared. That's the biggest piece of advice I think I'd give, is that nobody cares. Nobody is looking at you. Everybody is doing the exact same thing as you, and it's going for the experience or to see something.
Yeah. And I would, if you're going to the beaches, I like that, because I didn't mention swimsuits. If you're going to the beaches, and if you're somebody who is feeling a bit nervous, and if you're close to the beach, change into your swimsuit before you get there. So, and when you get there, when you're laying out your towel, just take off your clothes, take off your shorts, take off your t-shirt. Do not sit there and wait to feel comfortable to take them off. Take them off, and do it as if it's like muscle memory, that you're just like, I am not waiting. Because I know that I've had times where I'm like, I'll just wait for a second, and you're just like slowly lifting up your top, and you're like, no, it's fine. I'll leave it on.
Rip it off like a band-aid.
Yeah,
it's the same as putting down your bag and your towel and putting on, you know, sunscreen and everything. Just do it. You know, you'll never find the right moment other than the moment that you just get there.
Yeah. And I mean, I absolutely love swimming, so I was never going to not get in, but I can imagine the fear of getting in. But don't waste the sea over there. Get in. It's too good.
The seas are incredible everywhere, so don't use it as a reason to not experience it, because you will only regret it. I speak from experience.
And I mean, you can always do things like, you know, if you want to go, if you're really so nervous, things that I used to do, like leaving your towel closer to the shore so that you don't have to walk all the way up in your swimsuit. It shouldn't matter you walking up in your swimsuit, but I understand that fear can be there. I feel like I'm a big advocate for doing those little things that will make you feel more comfortable. I know some people are like, no, love your body, be super confident and loud in it, and that's great, but a lot of people aren't there. So there are tricks and tips that you can do like that. That will make you feel more comfortable.
Exactly. Polly, thank you so much for coming on with me.
You're welcome.
It was a really good chat, and I'm hoping that somebody out there, I know it's very difficult when people are like giving you advice and you're like, shut up, but I'm hoping that whoever needs to hear any of these things is watching, and that you do hear it. We are both speaking from experience. Before we go, I'm asking everybody at the end of the interviews, where is the next place, as soon as we are safe to travel, are you going to go?
I have a list, but if I have to say one place that's been on my mind, Costa Rica. I have Costa Rica. Okay. It's between Costa Rica and Mexico and a few other places, but Costa Rica.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Really want to go.
Well,
we're gonna do. Me and my friends were gonna do a trip to Mexico. Last year, when we thought lockdown was only lasting a little while.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to be there right now.
Oh, okay.
So I'll do that again. But yeah, Costa Rica, that's where I really want to go next.
Well, there we go. Well, hopefully we'll get to hear about what it's like to travel plus size in Costa Rica. It'll be another one on the list.
Exactly.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Everything that we talked about today will be up with links to different things on the website along with this video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the little bell button so that you always get to see our lovely faces every week. We will talk to you soon for the next video.